Hey there. The last video I started talking about performance optimizations. I took a little bit of time just to give the context, so I couldn't cover everything I wanted to cover in that particular video. So if you haven't seen that one, to get better context to this, I recommend that you watch that and you sign up on snowpile.com or download the mobile apps from the App Store and Play Store and be organized, manage your projects. You can do whatever it is that you want to do efficiently, right? So definitely check it out if you haven't already done so. If you have, thanks, and continue enjoying the updates. I just pushed something to the App Store and Play Stores like a couple hours ago, so it'll be a day before it's approved, so you'll see the next version as well. Thanks. Now back to performance optimization. In the last video, I think I ended that video going through the different tiers of our application and then going to the database, the API tier. And now let's pick up from where we left off there. Now that let's say we've identified that the optimization needs to happen in the API layer, the API tier, how do we go about doing it? Now, the example I had taken there, I said that the API took 100 or 150 milliseconds roughly, right? I think it was 100, but let's make it 150 milliseconds. And now our target is to make it return no, it shouldn't take any longer than 75 milliseconds, right? So that's our target. The sooner the better, but the slowest it can be should take no more than 75 milliseconds. Now we take the API. Now again, when it's in the cloud, your servers are all in different geographic locations depending on where who you're hosting to deploy your apps. So you don't have a whole lot of control over the regions per se. So there is certainly going to be some network latency. But I want to take that out of the picture here because that causes, that's a different way to debug and improve those issues. But assume that it's fair to assume that there is going to be some network latency, at least compared to if everything or most of your system was running locally in your network, right? So if something took 150 milliseconds, it would take, in my case, I've seen that let's say if something takes 100 milliseconds and I run it locally, it would take like 15 milliseconds, right? So literally, it's very hard when those numbers are that small. How do you optimize? Because there's going to be some standard deviations. Optimizing becomes tricky. So what you have to do is hope that it takes longer locally. If it does, then it's a little bit easier to debug, but it may not, right? If you've written decent code, it may not. So let's say it takes 15 or 20 milliseconds. Now what you have to do is, let's say the average standard deviation is between 15 to 22 or 24 milliseconds. Now, even though your intention is to optimize your API that takes 150 milliseconds down to 75, like a 50% gain, your numbers here locally are much smaller. It's 15 or 20, so you have to make it 10 or 7.5, for instance, right? Give or take. So that's the number you're looking at. So that's the first step. Just arrive at what those numbers should be, what your target is. So if it's 20 milliseconds before you did any of these optimizations, then you're looking at more like 10 or 12 milliseconds. And sometimes it could even be 15, meaning you don't see a 50% gain locally. Just like, and the same API takes 100 milliseconds in the cloud and it takes 15 because everything is local, it's 6 or 7 times. If you do the reverse of that, if you optimize and knock off 2 seconds from that API, you would see 2 milliseconds, sorry, right? 2 milliseconds, you can expect to see a 15 to 20 millisecond improvement when you're actually deploying it, right? So you have to get a sense for those numbers, and those numbers really depend on your systems, your deployment, your APIs, and everything. But once you've done that for a little while, hopefully you get a good hang of what those numbers might be. So you'll not have to rethink this every single time. Now that I know that these are the numbers, every time I go to optimize something, I'm looking out to making those types of improvements. So now we have 20 milliseconds and we have to bring it down to, let's say, 15, for instance, right? 5 milliseconds. What do? You run that same request locally and you need to have a decent amount of data. Your production data is going to be obviously a whole lot more because you have lots of users. It's very hard to get to that number. Obviously, you can run scripts you can generate fake data and whatnot, right? So you can do one of many things, but that's a different discussion. But let's say you have a decent amount of data, even if it's not anywhere close to your production size data. Let's say you have a decent amount of data. I think it should be all right for you to debug the problem. So now you run it and it takes 20 milliseconds. Now you try to identify the problem. The first thing you want to check is, since you have a good sense for it taking that much time in the API layer, regardless of what your tech stack is, right? Whether you're coding in Java or C# or Node or Ruby or whatever it is that you're using, it's generally unlikely, for the most part, that the time is taken because your code execution per se outside of the database queries. And here's what I mean by that. I'm not saying that we cannot write bad code. Sure, we can, right? But most of the time, even if since you've isolated it to a single API, bad code is defined. There's many things that make a piece of code bad, right? We'll talk about it in a different video. But in the context of this, when an API takes 20 milliseconds and you want to make it 15, and hopefully that API doesn't do too many things, right? Because you want to break your problems down into smaller pieces, so each of them only does a little bit of thing. Now, if your API does a ton of things, like it does 15 things before it returns, that's a different problem. It's an architectural decision or design decision. There's a lot of other problems that come into the mix here. In this video, I'm only focusing on performance in the context of an API that was written in a not so poor manner to begin with. Because if your architecture is questionable, or if your design has a problem, then you're just barking up the wrong tree, right? You may not be, you have to be looking at someplace else. But assuming you did all of that mostly correctly, and the API is still taking a little bit longer than you would like for it to take, then how do you optimize, right? That's what I'm trying to talk about. So you make the request and you're like, okay, you look at the API code, and unless let's say it's 50 or 100 lines of code or 200 lines of code for that particular API or the important aspects of that API, right? Because you're going to be using a lot of other pieces to create your responses and whatnot, and those items or methods or classes or modules or mixins, whatever it is they are, could be common to a lot of the other APIs as well. So if those were problematic, then most of your APIs or the other APIs would also be taking the same amount of time, right? So assuming that those are not taking the same amount of time, it's very likely that it's not the common pieces of code. So you're only going to look at the 200 lines of code that's very specific to this particular API, or 500 lines of code, right? I'm just throwing a number out there. You look at the code, and unless you spot something really silly, it's all right to make one more assumption saying, hey, maybe the crux of those 20 milliseconds is not taken in the execution of in the execution of that code outside of the database being in picture, right? So, and again, here is what I mean by that. You want to identify, when you take those 100 or 200 or 300 lines of code, look for the lines of code that may have something to do with your database. Now let's say you spot those items, then here's what I would do. Stop them out so you're not making the calls to your database layer at all. So all the API calls that you see as being made as part of that API execution, just stop those calls and then spit out, just create a config JSON or point to like Swagger or API or whatever it is that you want to do, or just keep it all local. Just stub out so those calls don't go to the database. Now see how much time it takes. Now if it takes like 3 milliseconds or 5 milliseconds down from 20, then sure, we are going in the right direction, right? We know where we are going, where we are heading is actually not inaccurate. It is correct. If it still took 20 milliseconds, simple enough. Database is not the problem. It's your code that's the problem. So you want to start looking at the code. And that's sometimes a whole lot easier, because if it's all in one place and it's code that you or your team wrote, then you can get help or figure out yourself and can tell in quick enough time where the problem might be, right? And again, here, if that code depends on third-party services and if they are taking a lengthier amount of time, then you can narrow it down to that. In this example, once again, I'm taking the external dependency as just database, and because I want to focus on it as much as I can, even though I'm talking about these other items. So again, third-party services, they could be slow and whatnot. Let's say that's not the case here. Now, once I stubbed it out, it took 5 milliseconds or whatever, like really small amount of time compared to the 20 milliseconds. Then I know that I'm in the right direction of optimizing what I start out to optimize. So I can put the calls back, but before I replace the stubbed out calls with the actual code, you want to do it one at a time. Let's say there were 3 calls made to the database. Again, the number of times you go to the database, I did speak about this in a different video. You want to minimize the round trips. In some cases, you don't want to go out to the DB more than once, but that's not always possible. As your system grows, it becomes more complex. It's easier said than done, right? You want to, if you can get everything you want in one go for that API, and have the API written in a more modular fashion so it can be used by other requests, then great. But that's not always possible, right? We know that. So while you want to bring it down to one, you may not always be able to do it. So you have three calls here. You stop out the other two, and you have the first one go to the real database. Now, if that took about the same amount of time as earlier, then you know that that's not the candidate for you to optimize. Then you comment that out, go to the next one, go to the third one. So within these three, given that stubbing everything out reduce the time, commenting out two and just having one of them execute, it will lead you to that particular query, right? So you will already be making some progress there. So once you identify that call and you figure out, okay, why is that taking time? Before you go to the query, that line of code could be calling another method in your system that does something else and then makes a call out to the database, right? So again, skip through all of that and just go to the database, the query itself, and figure out what the problem might be. Now we've come to the point where we want to optimize a query. I don't know how long this video has been, so let me actually talk about that in the next one.